Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to do something pretty wild today. We're compressing 4.54 billion years of Earth's history into a visceral, physical journey that spans the actual length of your own body.
So, how do you even begin to picture a number like 4.54 billion? To truly grasp this unfathomable amount of time, I want you to literally imagine stretching both of your arms out to your sides, as far as you possibly can.
Just picture this for a second. Your right hand, it starts in a literal fiery hellscape. Your entire torso represents billions of years of microscopic slime. Visible animals don't even show up until you hit your left wrist. And all of human civilization, everything we know, fits entirely on the microscopic tip of your left middle fingernail. Crazy, right?
Now, before we actually start moving down the arm, it helps to know how scientists categorize these massive chunks of time. It's essentially the ultimate chronological filing system for our planet, starting broad with giant supereons and filtering all the way down to specific epochs.
Part 1. Hadean, the fiery birth. We are starting the clock right at your right shoulder in the Hadean Eon. This is perfectly named after Hades, the Greek god of the underworld, because, well, it was completely inhospitable. Right out of the gate, we're talking about a massive Mars-sized planet named Theia smashing directly into our molten Earth. This catastrophic collision actually birthed our moon, which, thankfully for us, would eventually stabilize our planet's tilt and help shield future life.
Basically, the early Earth probably looked a lot more like Mustafar from Star Wars. Average global temperatures were around 230 degrees Celsius. It was literally hell on Earth, constantly bombarded by asteroids. But those asteroids actually acted as a cosmic delivery system, depositing the ice and water that would eventually cool the crust and form our very first oceans.
Part 2. The Cyanobacteria Empire. As we move down your arm to the Archean and Proterozoic Eons, life actually begins not with some huge roar, but with a microscopic hum down near underwater hydrothermal vents. Microscopic colonies of cyanobacteria began taking over the coasts of these ancient supercontinents. And they did it by figuring out how to survive using a brand new piece of biological tech, photosynthesis. Now, by breathing in carbon dioxide and, farting out oxygen, these tiny microbes completely altered our atmosphere. They totally transformed what was a warm greenhouse climate into a deeply frozen state nicknamed Snowball Earth. So, Earth's very first great mass extinction didn't come from a giant meteor. No, it came from the toxic oxygen pollution created by these early bacteria. To the existing microbes at the time, oxygen was literally a deadly waste product. We call this the Great Oxidization Event. And just think about the sheer scale of the timeline here. This mostly empty microscopic Precambrian supereon takes up an astounding 88% of Earth's entire history. That spans all the way from your right shoulder, across your whole chest, entirely to your left wrist.
Part 3. Explosion of complex life. The exact moment we hit your left wrist, we finally enter the Proterozoic Eon, kicking off an incredible age of visible, complex life.
This kicks off with the Cambrian explosion, which triggered an intense, high-stakes evolutionary arms race beneath the waves. Passive filter feeding? Yeah, that was suddenly a thing of the past.
Animals stopped passively filtering goo and actually started hunting each other, driving these rapid, wild innovations. Predators grew functional eyes to hunt, so prey grew hard armor. In response to the armor, predators developed grasping claws and crushing teeth. And early vertebrates, they evolved flexible backbones just so they could swim faster and survive.
Eventually, to escape horrifying aquatic monsters like the guillotine-faced Dunkleosteus, our ancestors bravely dragged themselves right out of the water and onto dry land. They entered a truly bizarre world filled with towering 8-meter-tall fungi and giant bugs that were able to grow to massive sizes thanks to incredibly high oxygen levels in the air. Part 4. The Great Dying. Things were really looking up for early terrestrial life, but right around the base of your left hand, life hits an absolute apocalyptic wall. The lush Carboniferous rainforests, which, surprisingly enough, locked away the carbon that created the vast majority of the fossil fuels we use today, completely collapsed. This happened as tectonic plates mashed together to form the massive, scorching supercontinent we know as Pangaea. Then, a massive volcanic complex known as a Siberian Traps erupted, and it kept erupting for 1 million years.
This turned the oceans acidic and wiped out a staggering 96% of marine species, along with 70% of land animals. It was absolutely the closest life on Earth ever came to being entirely reset.
Part 5. The Human Fingernail. Moving down into your left fingers, life reboots yet again into the Mesozoic era, laying out the ultimate all-you-can-eat buffet for the dinosaurs.
As Pangaea broke apart, the dry interior became this lush, tropical paradise with absolutely no polar ice caps. This allowed reptiles to grow to the size of 4-story buildings, evolving right alongside rapidly spreading, flowering plants. For an incredible 160 million years, these reptilian titans ruled absolutely every corner of our planet. That takes us all the way up to the middle of your left finger. But then, in a literal flash, a 10-kilometer-wide asteroid hit the Yucatan Peninsula. This ended the dinosaurs' reign for good, but it left the door wide open for tiny, highly adaptable mammals to emerge from the shadows and conquer the globe. These modern mammals rapidly diversified, but here's the crazy part. It wasn't until the absolute microscopic sliver at the very tip of your left middle fingernail that hominids stood upright, discovered fire, and started asking big questions about their origins. Everything you've ever known, every historical event, fits right there on the tip of your fingernail.
When you look at that fingernail and really internalize that 99% of all species that have ever lived are now extinct, it truly leaves you wondering, how long will our tiny, tiny sliver of time ultimately last? And what incredible transformations are waiting for us in the very next millimeter?